Hi, everybody. It's Karen Anderson here with Aortic, and I'm bringing to you our week in review. And if you're not familiar with what that is our opportunity to share with you all of the different social media posts that we posted throughout last week and kind of give you an opportunity to put some comments if you'd like below, share your thoughts with us, and most importantly, share this on your own social media pages because there is someone out there that's going to learn something from what we're going to share with you today. And it might even be somebody who doesn't have aortic disease or they just don't know it yet. So please, before we get started, click like, click subscribe, click the little bell so that you're notified every time that we go live so that you won't miss these opportunities. We will be going live again in the very near future. For right now, our information that we're bringing to you is pre-recorded, so hang in there, bear with us. We're making some changes this year, but let's get started with this week's Week in Review. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you now, and away we go. All right, so let's start off with our Medical Monday. This is brought to you by one of our med students, Ani. We're really talking about the procedures that people might receive when they're in the hospital. That is the information that we're focusing on in March. You know, February it was heart valve disease, specifically aortic valve disease issues or congenital issues like a bicuspid valve. So we focused heavily on any issues that occur with a heart valve, an aortic heart valve. And for March, we're discussing all of the things that can happen to you when you're in the hospital, diagnostic testing and procedures. And so what I think we're going to talk about today is one of the most prevalent heart procedures that people will have in the hospital, and that's called a left heart catheterization. So if your doctor suspects that there could potentially be a problem with blood flow to your heart, then they're going to recommend a left heart catheterization, otherwise known as a heart cath. And while the name definitely sounds intimidating, it's a very common procedure that really helps doctors diagnose and sometimes treat heart problems. So what exactly is a left heart catheterization? So it is a procedure that allows doctors to look directly at your arteries, known as the coronary arteries that supply the blood to your heart. And during this procedure, a very thin, flexible tube called a catheter is inserted into an artery. Now, that artery can be located in your arm, in your wrist area, or it can be located in the groin, and it is guided up to the heart. A special dye that is visible on X-ray is then injected while X-ray images of the heart are continuously taken. Now, it is my understanding, and I am not a physician, that the dye that is used is either the same or very similar to that of a CT dye contrast. So if you know that you have an allergy to this type of dye, please be sure to share this information with your physician so that if they need to do any pre-medications beforehand to safeguard that they know what they need to do. So since the doctors can see the dye flowing through the coronary arteries in real time, this procedure actually lets doctors see if there's any blockages or narrow areas in the arteries that might actually be affecting the blood flow. And here's a perfect example and picture of a cardiac catheterization. So again, this is utilizing the groin as the insertion point. This catheter is fed all the way up. Here's another perfect vision of it coming up. It's actually going up the aorta versus coming down, right? Seems kind of weird. So this is going up the aorta and going into the coronary arteries. And here it is discovered that there is, after letting out the contrast material, they can see that there is plaque blocking part of that coronary artery. Why would somebody need a left heart catheterization? So if there are signs of coronary artery disease, which occurs when plaque builds up in the heart's arteries, common reasons a patient might need a left heart cath would be if you're having chest pain or pressure, otherwise known as angina, if you have abnormal results on a stress test, if you're having shortness of breath with any kind of activity, maybe they want to do it as an evaluation after a heart attack, or they're just checking the coronary arteries before certain heart surgeries. This test will actually give a direct look at those arteries. So this is the gold standard method for diagnosing coronary blockages. And can it treat problems too? It's not just diagnostic. It actually can treat some types of blockages if they're found during the procedure. If a significant narrowing is found, the doctors can do what is called a coronary angioplasty. So they then feed up that catheter a tiny little balloon and it becomes inflated and that opens up the artery. And often a small mesh tube called a stent is placed to keep the artery open and improve blood flow. So it's a pretty simple procedure, right? Sounds like it. This is referred to as percutaneous coronary intervention, or PCI for short. And I have no way of knowing if I'm pronouncing these words accurately because I'm not a physician. So bear with me. In other cases, the results of a catheterization would help a physician or doctor decide what medications, stents, or if bypass surgery would be the actual best treatment. So what exactly happens during this procedure? So with the left heart catheterization, it's typically done in a specialized hospital room called a catheterization or cath lab. And most patients are awake. Don't freak out. Don't freak out. But they are mostly awake. But they do receive a lot of medications to keep them relaxed. And that's because the doctors don't need you squirming around. Or if you feel pressure or any kind of uncomfortability, they don't need you moving about. They kind of don't even want to try to have a long-winded conversation with you, but you are, for the most part, being kept awake during this procedure. And it's not going to take really anything longer than 30 minutes to an hour. I mean, it can take longer if there's going to be a treatment that's performed at the same time. And afterwards, you're going to probably be monitored for a few hours while the access site heals. I can tell you personally, I've had one in the groin and I've had one in the wrist. In the groin, formed a little bit of a lump. It was sore for about 2 weeks. I was walking like I had been riding a horse for many hours. I got a little interesting stride in my walk. The one in the wrist really was very easy peasy. It was actually interesting. They had a see-through, looked like a big ice cube, but it wasn't. It was like a plastic cube, and they had it taped to my wrist really tight. And they could see through this cube to see if I was bleeding at all. And every so often they would loosen it a little bit, and that would stay like that for a period of time. And they would check again to make sure I wasn't bleeding until eventually the whole thing was loose enough to come off. It's very safe and it's a routine procedure. It's performed millions of times a year. Serious complications are uncommon, though, like any medical procedure, small risks such as bleeding, bruising, or reactions to the dye can occur. Your doctors carefully monitor you before, during, and after the procedure to minimize these risks. So here's your bottom line. Left heart catheterization is one of the most important tools for diagnosing and treating heart disease involving the blood vessels of the heart. And while the idea of the procedure involving the heart can be a little stressful, this test will often provide very clear answers needed to guide the very best treatment to protect your long-term health. So thank you, Ani, for this post. Ani is one of our med students. We really appreciate your time in preparing this information for us, and that is your Medical Monday. Okay, we're going on to our Topic Tuesday. Okay, keeping with the idea of what procedures can happen in a hospital, other ways that doctors can take a look at your heart is something called a transthoracic echocardiography. So transthoracic echocardiography is a TTE, otherwise known as an echo. Okay, just a simple little echo. Okay, this is not a TEE, which we will eventually get to this month. This is a TTE, transthoracic echocardiography. And so if they want to take a look and see how your heart is working, how your blood is flowing, how all of your valves are opening and closing, rather than if all the arteries are open, if the condition of your arteries isn't the main reason for doing the test, if it's more about blood flow and how your heart is working, then they're going to do this potentially going to do an echo, which we hear about often. I will say that people often debate, is an echo a great test to determine if you have an aneurysm? I would never just go with just an echo's results, because an echo looks at things in a different uh, field, which we're going to talk about, like 2D, 3D, type of that, those types of things. But it's really beneficial for watching the flow of the blood and your valves. So there's nuances and reasons why this is a great test. It's non-invasive. It is completely painless, and it's used to evaluate actually many different heart conditions. So it's an ultrasound, but it's being used on your heart. It's going to have goopy jelly in the whole 9 yards. And it's just like the ultrasounds that are used during pregnancy or for a variety of other reasons. It uses ultrasonic waves to create moving images of the heart. So during the procedure, a technician's going to hold a small handheld device called a transducer or a probe on your chest with this little goopy stuff that hopefully they warm for you. The device is going to send sound waves into the body, which bounces off of your heart and returns to the probe to create the detailed images that you're going to see on the screen. I think everything just it all looks the same to me until I see valves. Then I'm like, oh, I know that's a valve. I find looking through ultrasound, you could tell me that I don't know what you could tell me, but I would believe anything because I don't know what I'm looking at. But I do love when I can see the blood flow and when I can see the valves working in real time. And so these images really allow the doctors to see the heart beating in real time. Here's a nice depiction of what it looks like. You might be laying on your back. You could be rolling over on your left-hand side. And if you're a woman, you will be draped. You will have a gown. They will ask you to take one arm out so that they have easier access to your chest. And they are usually very, you don't have to worry about modesty. Let me put it to you that way. You will remain covered. Your breasts are not exposed as they are with this male illustration. So as they have the probe here, the computer records sound waves and echoes and displays the picture here. Okay, so what does it show? It's actually an extremely useful test that provides a lot of information about the heart, including the heart's size and its structure, how well the heart is actually pumping, how the heart valves are functioning, and the blood that's flowing through the chambers, and signs if there's any fluid around the heart. So these are all these different things that it's actually showing. Look, you can see the 4 chambers of the heart right here. Look how great that is. Such a great picture with valves right here. Boom, 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 your doors right there. Okay, so they're showing you all different types of what you would be looking at on the heart, what it looks like on the screen. Okay, allows you to determine if there's any abnormalities. So during the test, it's going to be done in either a special radiology clinic or it could be done in the radiology department of a hospital, but it can be done bedside if necessary. So if you have been admitted to the hospital or you're in the ER, they can actually bring this machine to you and do it there. So you lie on the exam table or the bed, and as we mentioned, the technician will place small sensors on your chest. That helps monitor when your heart is actually beating. And your heart rhythm. So they can see the rhythm like an EKG. They can hear that rhythm because they can turn up the volume and record that sound, and they can see it in real time. And so they move that transducer we talked about across different parts of the chest to capture images from a variety of different angles. And the test kind of it can take anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes. Most people, they just return to normal activities immediately afterwards. It's non-invasive. Again, there's no need to fast beforehand. There's no need to do any kind of prepping beforehand as well. It's extremely safe. We're not talking about any type of radiation. There's nothing that's involved. There's no needles, there's no medication, there's no anything. For that reason, it can be repeated over and over and over and over again to track how different heart conditions are changing or responding to treatment. So it is one of the most widely used and accepted tools in cardiology and cardiothoracic surgery. It really gives that doctor a very clear picture of the structure of the heart. Notice I am not talking about aorta, the structure of the heart. It gives a clear picture. It can show the doctor how well it's functioning. It's all very quick and it's very painless. And it's, again, just an ultrasound. And if the doctor recommends an echo, it's really a simple way to gather a lot of information so they can make the best decision for your health. Uh, as far as measurements with the aorta, we have conversations in the community about this all the time. Leave those measurements to your physician, leave them to your surgeon. Um, let them take a look via MRI or CAT scan and actually measure it themselves. It's not a great indicator when it comes to an aneurysm. There will be potentially some difference in size between that and one of the other tests. And we'll talk about that at a further time in the future as well. But that's between you and your physicians, right? This is great, though, for the structures of the heart and for heart valves. So that is your topic Tuesday. I hope you found this very interesting. Even though I've had a million of these, I find this very interesting myself. And we're going to move on for the other posts during our week. Okay, we wanted to thank everybody. We are thriving on Instagram. We have over 1,600 people following us on Instagram, and our Instagram is changing. We have this new director of social media marketing, Sarah Copeland, who joined Molly Thomas as our other social media and marketing person. And Sarah, she's explained to all of you, I think it was a week or so ago, that she does this for a living. She teaches classes about Canva, about social media. She's extremely well versed in the land of Instagram. So we anticipate some exciting changes in the future on how our Instagram is being utilized, how all of our social media is being utilized. The times, they change so quickly. And as far as I'm concerned, my job is to just make sure I get the most accurate information to everyone via as many sources as possible, and also that we're able to offer you opportunities to interact with each other. But I can't believe we have over 1,600 followers on Instagram, which is great. I mean, that's patients, that's caregivers, it's clinicians, it's supporters, all coming together for one powerful mission, and that's awareness, education, and hope. And when you follow Aortic Hope, you're not just scrolling. You're really not. You're joining a community, and that community understands the journey, and we all get a chance to walk it together. So help us continue to grow, please. Please help us continue to reach more families. Help us continue to spread life-saving awareness ASAP, because awareness saves aortas, period. So hit follow on our Instagram and be part of something that truly matters. Yay, Aortic Hope. Okay, let's go on to our next one. It was Think Aorta Thursday. We're going to have a lot of Think Aorta Thursdays in the month of March. Here's the poster, the big poster. Unexplained severe pain, think aorta. Aortic dissection is an emergency that's often fatal when it's missed. You need a CT scan for definitive diagnosis. You also could do it by an MRI. But these posters go into detail about symptoms, what the pain can feel like, the risk factors, key, what people should be doing and what they might find on a physical exam, and the types of diagnostic warnings. As you can see here, the idea of thinking about the aorta has been in the United States, part of Think Aorta US, has been endorsed by the American College of Emergency Physicians, by the Society for Vascular Surgery, by the Society of Thoracic Surgeons, by the Eastern Cardiothoracic Surgical Society, by the Eastern Vascular Society, Aortic Bridge, our friends over at Aortic Dissection UK and Ireland, Aortic Dissection Awareness UK and Ireland, and obviously, huge supporter, it would be Aortic Hope. And look, it's very important to think aorta, to raise awareness about aortic disease, because this condition is often silent. It is sudden and it can be deadly. But with education and early detection and appropriate treatment, lives are going to be saved. It's two simple words. That's saving so many. Here's why it matters. Aortic disease, it can be life-threatening. Time is everything. And it can also be genetic. So if one person is diagnosed with an aneurysm, that could be an aneurysm anywhere, by the way, it could be in your brain. If they have aortic valve disease, like a bicuspid aortic valve, or they've had an aortic dissection, then family members may also need screening. This makes awareness even more critical for prevention and early treatment. Early detection will save lives. Education improves outcomes. To think aorta really means training both medical professionals and the public to recognize the symptoms and the risk factors, and support and advocacy matters. Raise awareness. It helps to build the community, it helps build support systems and research funding. This will all lead to better care and outcomes. And the bottom line with this, the Think Aorta is not just a slogan. I mean, it's a slogan, and it's an incredibly successful slogan with over 13 countries that are already working together across the globe on this. Okay, so it's not just a slogan, it really is a call to action. And I don't know how there's other organizations that want to describe it in their own words, and that's well and good. It's all about the message, but at the end of the day, it's Think Aorta. And all of the support, patient advocacy, research, all of us, all of the organizations are thinking aorta, whether we all say it or not. Because if we didn't have physicians who think about the aorta, we wouldn't have patients to support. We wouldn't have patients to have to perform research to look into for more detailed knowledge about this disease. It doesn't matter if you're a doctor or a patient or a family member. Understanding and recognizing aortic disease can literally mean the difference between life and death. So you can download these posters for free by clicking the link here, or go to thinkaorta.us. Order some posters. Soon those posters will be able to be ordered with a click of the button right here from Aortic Hope. We are combining our efforts at some point for certain things, and you'll be able to order those posters here and take them to your doctor's office. Take them to your local EMT fire station. Take them there. Make sure it's in the back of their mind, because sometimes people will dismiss symptoms if they're not ripping, tearing sensations. And they're dismissing people because of age, and they're dismissing people because of gender, and they're not asking the questions about family medical history. This is why we tell you all the time, have those important questions, learn your family medical history. You might not think it's important, but to somebody else, it might be the missing piece of the puzzle. So that is your Think Aorta Thursday. Okay, let us see where we are now. All right, our Friday fundraiser. This was our Friday fundraiser, our aortic disease awareness decals. Here it is. Can't probably see because I'm in the small square on the side, but I've got this up on the back of my Surface Pro. I have this up on my car, which really looks very similar to this, but that's not my car. All right, so do you want to make a big splash with a tiny sticker? Meet the Aortic Hope card decal. It's yours for just $5 donation. This is actually not that small of a decal. $5 donation, boom, awareness has been activated. You can stick it on your car. And think about this, if there's a traffic jam, that's an awareness opportunity, right? Pop it on your laptop, zoom background glow up. Window, let the sunshine and awareness in. Stick it on your water bottle. If you don't already have an Aortic Hope water bottle, just plop it on your water bottle. Hydration and education all in one. Literally any kind of smooth surface is begging to have a purpose. It can be small, but this little decal really does pack a punch. I mean, you never know who's going to spot it, who's going to ask about it, who's going to walk away with life-saving knowledge. $5. $5, one sticker. Countless conversations. Snag yours today and help us spread the word ASAP, because we know that awareness saves aortas, period. Oh my goodness, you hear this music? This is my son calling me in the middle of my in the middle of my week in review. I think that's hysterical. I'm sorry, I just turned everything off. That's a first. That's never happened because I usually remember to turn my phone off. That's genuineness right there, everybody. That's relatability. I'm a survivor just like you. Oh my goodness, we're going to have to talk about that. That's hysterical. All right, so that was our Friday fundraiser. It's going on all month long. So that was, yeah, that was just a couple days ago. So that's week 2 of that. Let's move on to our Survivor Series. It was Survivor Series Replay Saturday, featuring our very lovely Qigong instructor and community member, friend, and survivor, Kevin Songer. On Replay Saturday, we're sharing some of our most watched and impactful survivor stories from the years past. And today, or Saturday yesterday, we refeatured an incredible story of survival from Kevin Songer. And he's a Florida native who suffered an aortic dissection on Thanksgiving Day in 2011. Yes, I said that right. That was 15 years ago, you guys. 15 years. Kevin is known in the community as Aortic Hope's Qigong contributor. Contributor. I've been around my mother all weekend, so I said contributor. Accent coming out. Hey, thank you, Kevin. Thank you for being part of Aortic Hope and the community, and for bravely sharing your journey, and for contributing to our ever popular Survivor Series. So if you'd like to check out that video, there is a link right here. This coming right from our blog. Be the shining star in someone's life by submitting your own story of survival or your experience of caring for someone who has aortic disease. You don't need to have had surgery to be a contributor, because one of the things I've learned is just getting a diagnosis is screws with your brain. Look, I think I told you just a minute ago, I had my dissection 11 years ago, and this community was not here. I am one of the original founders. And then fast forward in the fall of 25, I had to have my valve replaced, and I had a bypass, and I had my ascending graft elongated. So, look, going in for part 2, that was scary. That was really hard. I started feeling it the minute that I was diagnosed and told you're going to need to have this done. So you can be watch and wait. We want your story. It is so valid. It would be very validating. It would have been very validating for me to hear a lot about it while I was watching and waiting for the date to come for my surgery. So listen, don't take for granted that your story is not going to be impactful for someone. We're going to actually share it here on our Survivor Series, on our, our website and our Instagram and our Facebook and our LinkedIn, and also with Think Aorta US. And we use that as an educational tool to help emergency room physicians and first responders understand, again, why it's so important to think aorta. So if you're interested in your sharing your story, there is a link underneath this blog, which you also can go to programs. There's a link underneath of Survivor Series. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to feature you in our Survivor story, or where are they now? And what is where are they now? It's you telling everybody where you are now. What are you doing? What have you seen? What have you accomplished? What are your milestones? We want to hear from you, and we want the community to hear from you as well. So that was our Survivor Series Saturday. All right, moving right along with Soundtrack Sunday. Soundtrack Sunday, because survival deserves an encore, doesn't it? Listen, every life has a soundtrack. We know that music is impactful. God, we've known music's impactful. We've known this forever, for all of our lives. This is not a new concept that music brings people together and makes us happy. The first verse kind of talks about what happens to us, right? What happened to us. The second verse is going to be, I feel like, how we found our strength. And the bridge is where everything changes. And the encore, that's when you sing louder. It's not just for ourselves, but it's for the next person who needs hope. That played very well off the Survivor Series, because that is literally what it's about. What happened? How did you find the strength? How did everything change? And tell it loud and proud, because we believe that survival is not the end of the song. It's the moment that the music actually grows stronger together. That was your Sunday. All right. Events. We've got some really interesting changes. So what is getting ready to be changed on here? I'm not too sure if I changed it. I thought I did, but maybe it didn't go through. Okay. Ignore St. Patty's Day bingo, which was supposed to be on the 16th tonight. because here in Maryland, as well as a couple other states, we are going to be having almost 80-mile-an-hour winds. So we are going to have to push back the bingo to the 19th. So that's going to be Thursday on the 19th. And then we do have our last support group meeting, general support group meeting of the month on the 24th at 7 p.m. And we have our WISE meeting, which will happen on the 30th at 7 p.m. That is Women Inspiring Support and Empowerment. We will have an opportunity to put up our new calendar very soon. For any of these meetings, the WISE, you can click here to join one of our support groups. Just click it written in red. You join once and you will be emailed a link to join our meeting via Microsoft Teams. So download Teams if you don't have it. Check your spam folder for the link, and bear with us as we are making some changes and really propelling our organization forward. Okay, I am going to stop sharing now. There we are. I'm going to stop sharing and remind you again that we have our decals for a $5 donation. No shipping, of course, with that. We'll send that anywhere. So all of you have an opportunity to obtain that. And don't forget to click like, click subscribe, click the little bell so that you're notified every time we go live. And please push share. Share this someplace on your social media, because I do think that other people get ultrasounds, right? Don't you think other people that might not be part of this community would be receiving an echo, right? And they might be scared and not know what to expect, or might need to have a heart cath. I think it's important to share, because not everybody that has these things happen are necessarily part of the aortic community. So click share. Do me that favor. And I just want to say thank you to our sponsors. I get down here. I think our sponsors are on our other page. I think they're, yeah, we're going to say thank you to our sponsors. This is our 25 into 26 sponsors. Definitely want to give a shout out to Cook Medical. At Cook Medical, they innovate and manufacture quality medical devices to improve lives. Their focus is on bringing compelling products to market and keeping existing ones relevant. With headquarters in Bloomington, Indiana, and global manufacturing facilities, they aim to increase their impact worldwide. So thank you, Cook Medical. And also a big shout out and thank you to Edwards Lifescience. They are a global leader of patient-focused medical innovations for structural heart disease and critical care monitoring. At Edwards Lifescience, they listen to patients talk. And why? Because patients really do provide them with information about their experience, which can help them improve their products, like my Edwards Resilience heart valve, my cow heart valve. Patients' stories really do inspire them to continue to fight on our behalf. And Edwards can actually provide comfort and support and help them connect. So if you would like to learn more about Edwards Lifescience, their patient resources and their patient experience, which is something that happens in California, there is a link where you can do that as well underneath of our programs page. So also a nice little shout out to Heart Valve Voice. They're really a patient advocacy nonprofit organization. They provide patients with a united voice to improve health for people living with heart valve disease. And they help advocate for early detection, for meaningful support, timely access to appropriate treatment for all that are affected. Heart Valve Voice works with people living with heart valve disease, clinicians, and other experts, and patient service and advocacy organizations such as Aortic Hope to really help identify barriers and improve health for people that are living with heart valve disease, and advocates for change to enhance health. So thank you to all of those sponsors. And look, I'm going to personally just throw in here a nice little shout out to Run for Aortic Health. They didn't ask for this to get this type of shout out, but it is a passion product. A passion project that was founded by a community member, a dissection survivor named Carmen David. She survived an aortic dissection in May of 2015, 22 hours after the birth of her second daughter. So Run for Aortic Health raises funds specifically earmarked for research that are sent to the John Ritter Research program and other research studies, initiatives for aortic aneurysms and aortic dissection. We've also been so blessed to be a recipient of some funds as well, due to the generosity of Carmen. All of our work collectively is crucial, and we all really strive to try to pave the way for aortic disease to be better understood and managed. And what Run for Aortic Health is, it's a 5K and 10K uh, can't think of the word, run, walk, family get together, race, medals. It's just a wonderful moment. And this year she's celebrating her 10th event. So we will have more details up very soon so that you guys can join virtually, or if you happen to find yourself in Texas, you might want to join in person as well. So again, a big thank you to everyone who is our sponsor for 2026. And thank you so much for joining and watching. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.